All right, what is going on, everybody? This is Randall Thor 19 coming at you live for the Xbox 2 podcast on a Wednesday. Oh my God, we're actually on the day we're supposed to be. It's I can't remember the last time we even did a show on a Wednesday, but here we are. And with me
Yeah,
as
that is
always,
a weird one.
the one and only Jez Corden of Windows Central. What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Hey pal, I'm good, pretty good. It's always a relief when I leak something and it turns out to be accurate.
You love it. You love it. You love it when your leaks turn out to be true, don't you?
Well, imagine if it wasn't true. It's not
Well,
fun. It's not fun when
well,
leaks.
yeah. People like your one leak about the Xbox career system that Mike Ybarra was like, "What is this, Jez? This doesn't
That was
exist."
true. That was true. God damn
Mm,
it.
but it wasn't. But
It
what
wasn't.
specifically in this case are you talking about? Enlighten the listeners.
The Xbox, of course. The Xbox One S. We'll do the whole digital edition, or as some people are calling it, the Xbox One sad.
The Xbox One sad. Yeah, Microsoft. I said this yesterday because I hopped into a party with my buddy Fonzarelli, Jay Fonz, and he was doing a little impromptu podcast. I'm like, whoever is naming things at Microsoft this generation needs to look for a new job. Okay, needs to really look for a new job. You
Ah.
can't Xbox One shortened to Xbone, Xbox One All Digital Edition shortened to the Xbox One Sad. Now that everyone's just calling Xbox Sad, it's pretty well, for lack of a better word, sad in my opinion. But it's funny. It's definitely funny. So
That's one way of putting it. Funny. It's one way of putting it for sure.
yeah, but I just want to take a minute to shout out all the good people in chat. I see we got Cold Eastwood, Fuzzy Belvedere, Saltiest Gaming, Reclaimer, Random Guy, man, a whole bunch of people here. PMS Jordan, Sub Zedox from the Reset Era Discord, the super secret Discord that can't really talk about rule number 3. Can't tell people what goes on in there, and what goes on in there is very cryptic and a lot of information gets passed around. Can't talk about it though. Sam Tolbert of Tick. Hope everybody's having a great day. Thank you for dropping by the show. Hopefully, it's going to be a pretty good one. We have a lot of. What are we going to talk about? Indeed. Well, first off, PMS Jordan decides to show her support with Super Chat, and she says, "The Queen of Green grants you this gift." Thank you, PMS Jordan. I don't know if you know this, Jez. I know you and PMS Jordan are friends, but she's now the leader of the Xbox community. Self-anointed, the Queen of Green. She's now taking her rightful place as the Queen of Xbox.
Well, isn't that lovely?
Yes, right. we do need a queen. Although I always thought of Luca as the queen, but Luca's not here right now unless she said hi, and I just didn't see it because chat's moving so fast. But we're going to be talking about the Xbox One sad. We're going to be talking about the PlayStation 5 reveal from yesterday, where that puts Xbox and their next-gen consoles. Phil Spencer, of course, talked about E3 at Inside Xbox. We're going to talk a little bit about all that. Whole bunch of other stuff. Shout out to Fame in the chat. I see you there, brother. Hope everybody's having a great day. If you wouldn't mind, hit that like button. Helps out the show a lot. Because YouTube just doesn't really send out notifications that much anymore. I always complain about that, but it is true. YouTube really, they're kind of if you're not a really big creator on YouTube with millions of subs, then I don't really care. So, do us a favor, hit the like button. They don't.
We need one of those soundboards where I can press a button and it goes,
They don't care. They don't. But there was something before we get on the topics and when we talk about what we've been playing for a little bit. You posed a question last podcast to me that if I would play Pokemon,
yes,
and you would donate, you would donate a set amount of money to charity.
I would donate $150 to a charity of your choice if you complete.
Whoa! This wasn't about completing.
No. You have to complete it. Now,
this wasn't about completing.
Completing means you have to defeat the champion, You don't have to collect all the Pokemon. That'd be ridiculous. But you have to defeat the champion and complete the story. You don't have to do the post game, but you have to defeat the champion and beat the Elite Four. And if you do that, I will donate $150 to a charity of your choice. And if anyone else in chat wants to pitch in to the Rand charity Pokemon fund, we can make this a whole thing. You know?
Yeah. Shout out to Lumi for the super chat. Really appreciate it, bro. Okay, now this has put me in an awkward position because
if you don't do it, you'll be a terrible person.
I morally decline this when the money is going to be going to a good cause? Now, could the charity be like the charity of Randall Thor 19?
Nope.
Where the money just comes to me?
Nope.
Are you still going to buy me the game?
I will buy the game too.
Oh man. We'll have to. So when does the game come out?
November.
All right, we got some time. I'll think about it.
There's people in chat already saying I'll pitch in $25. There you go, man. We could raise some serious cash for charity.
We could, and that's how I kind of am looking at it here. It's like, can I morally say no?
No, you can't.
It's like one of those things where it's like, oh man, I don't know. You put me in a bind. You put me in a bind here, Jez. I ain't gonna lie.
Yep.
Like now, I'm actually thinking about Pokemon when I never wanted to think about Pokemon ever.
Yeah.
And now I might actually have to play it.
Yeah, and you have to wear a Pokemon hat while you're doing it.
Oh God, no, absolutely not.
There's another $20. Gunstar says he'll pitch in $20.
Yeah, no, a lot of people probably want to see me play Pokemon and struggle with it. Like Kid Smooth has been struggling with Sekiro, even though a lot of people have been accusing Kid Smooth of cheating during Sekiro. But man, his streams are so entertaining because he's struggling with Sekiro, something fierce.
Can you even cheat in that game?
A lot of people consider like looking up strategies cheating. You know, like how to beat a boss or how to cheese a boss.
Man, everyone looks up those strategies, and I'll tell you why. Because Asher on Windows Central has been writing those strategies for us, and they get tons of Google traffic.
Oh, people look. And I'm not throwing shade at Kid Smooth. I love Kid Smooth. Shout out to him. I'm just saying, like, I think I was watching one of his last streams, and people were he beat a boss after a couple hours, and people were complaining that he might have looked up a guide or something. I don't know, but yeah.
Fair play. I mean, I probably couldn't even do it if I did look up a guide. I do have Sekiro, and I do want to get around to it. I might play this weekend, actually. But my backlog's ridiculous now, man. I said to myself, I'm going to complete The Last of Us. And then I got Sekiro, and now I've got just loads of stuff to play. And I bought Breath of the Wild the other day as well, because it was on sale. And, you know, Nintendo sales are a rare thing. So I just thought, yeah, I'll buy that now while it's on sale. And then I got the Final Fantasy games have come out for Xbox and Switch. I got them on both platforms as well because I'm weird.
I almost want to buy those games just to have them in my collection because I love Final Fantasy so much. But I know I'll never play them. Like 7 is probably one of my favorite games of all time. I love 9. I adore it. I enjoyed 10. I never played 12. But honestly, it's like part of me wants to buy 7, 9, and 10. Just to have them, even though I know I will never play those games again. Just to like look in my collection and be like, oh, there's Final Fantasy 7.
I'm going to play through 7 and 10, I think. Maybe not 9.
9 is great. But my favorite, well, you see, sometimes I flip-flop because sometimes 7's my favorite, and then I do recall having a great time with 8. I love 8 as well.
Yeah, like I love 8 too, actually. Like even though like 8 was a bit controversial, right?
Yeah. People there's a lot of people that don't like it because of its junction system or draw system. I forget which one.
It's both the junction and the draw system. It's like the way it worked was you junction the magic to your stat, and you had to draw the magic.
Yeah, you had to draw the magic from the enemies. Yeah. But
you have to like spend half an hour drawing fire from a bite bug at the start of the game. Yeah, that brings back some.
But 7, I played fully 7 like 5 different times. I beat 3 different times. I beat 9 twice. I beat 10 once. I just want to have them. I don't want to play them. I just want to have them in my collection. But
I don't think I ever beat 10. You know, thinking about it now.
But now we're gonna move on to the what we've been playing is someone's calling me. What have you been playing, Jez? Well, what
have I been playing?
Because last week people knew you were playing something because they could hear the little tic tacs on the controller.
Yeah, okay. I guess the mic, because I was using a better quality mic last week, and I guess the mic was such good quality that it picked up all of my controller playing. So I'm playing a game right now, but I'm using a crappy mic which can't pick it up, hopefully. But also, I guess the mic was closer to the desk. I don't know. Sorry about that, guys. If you picked up on me playing a game last week, hopefully this week the audio quality better. So what have I been playing? Oh man, I've been playing Super Mario Bros. U on the Switch.
You're more of a Nintendo fan than you are an Xbox fan these days.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, you did. We were talking yesterday, and you told me pretty much Xbox is boring.
I mean, what cool announcements have we had for Xbox recently?
Hello. Yeah, I'm struggling. Ninja Gaiden 2, Xbox One X enhanced back and pad. I don't know, nothing really.
Yeah, there's just nothing.
Crackdown 3.
There's nothing exciting to look forward to right now. We're just waiting for E3, and that's it when it comes to Xbox. So yeah, I mean, I'm waiting for Rage. Looking forward to Rage too, but that's it. I mean, what else is there to look forward to at the moment?
But Nintendo, they're always dropping cool stuff, right? That's what you're saying. They're the new hotness. They're what the kids want these days.
They are the new hotness, man. I mean, they showed off Joker for Smash Bros. Today or yesterday. I can't remember which day it was, but you know, we got Pokemon to look forward to, and I don't know, it's just loads of cool stuff in my opinion. But regardless, I've been playing nothing too out of the ordinary. Super Mario Bros. U, as I said, it's like I've talked on this podcast before about trying to get my girlfriend into games. She's obsessed with Super Mario Bros. U. I think she's playing it right now, actually. Oh no, she stopped now. But she was playing it earlier. So I can barely get a look in on the Switch because she's always stealing it to play Super Mario Bros. The cool thing is we can just snap off a controller and then play 2-player like it ain't no thing, you know. It's just super convenient. Other than that, man, what else have I been playing? Man? Not a great deal. I've been pretty busy this week, man, because of the Xbox SAD, funnily enough.
You've been busy because of that?
Yes, because you know we had to write all the articles about it and prep a load of content, stuff like where do you buy the Xbox SAD, and you know, is the Xbox SAD worth buying? You know, stuff people Google search.
Short answer: is the Xbox SAD worth buying? No. Next question.
Pretty much. But you know, you write that stuff for Google. You know.
Yeah, I know.
But other than that, not a great deal, actually. I don't think. What have you been playing, man? I'm sure your gaming exploits recently have probably been more exciting than mine. Right now, I'm playing City Skylines right now.
City Skylines, you love that game.
I love this game.
You love that game.
So chill.
Yeah,
it's so damn chill. And there's been loads of expansions for it that I haven't tried yet. So I'm trying out the snow expansion and the park life expansion. There's a bunch of expansions right now. Just building my sewage plant to get rid of all the poop, you know.
What have I been playing? I have been playing Metro Exodus.
I need to get around to that because like I started it over on Ranger Hardcore because that's the way it's meant to be played, and then I sort of stopped playing it.
Yeah, it's quite good. Oh my god,
quite good.
It's really good. It's not. Here's the thing, like I am in the forest level. I think they call it the Tagia level, a little bit. You know, I think that's more than halfway. I'm really enjoying it. However, it does have its issues, like all the Metro games do. Like I'm sitting right now at a solid 8 out of 10. It's perhaps the best, if not one of the best looking games I've ever seen. Like when I took control. And I was like, this game does not look like that. This game does no, it's impossible. But then again, like, you know, I have the new TV, HDR, OLED, LG, and I'm just like,
humble brag,
oh my god, this game. Yeah, but you know, there are some issues. The gunplay's not great. at
I was
all.
hoping they'd fix that by the time I come back
No.
to it, because if how to describe it? It feels like there's input lag.
Yeah, they said they added a new like preset or something, but it's still very noticeable. I mean, it doesn't really deter that much from the experience, but you do notice when you get into firefights. Most of the time, I try to play it stealthy as possible because I like to get good karma, so I don't really kill humans in that game. I knock them out.
Aren't you
But
though?
yeah, when you get into the firefights with the mutants, yeah, it's very noticeable. So it's kind of that's an issue. You know, the voice acting's not the greatest, which is fine.
You can play it in Russian.
You could, but I don't understand Russian, so
You could read the subs.
I don't like to read subtitles. That's the thing about me. Like, I like to get immersed in my games. So most of the time when I play a big single player game, I like to be by myself. I like to just put my Asteroid 50s on, crank up the volume, and just enjoy the experience, like how I did with God of War and Spider-Man and like Resident Evil 2. I just like to be immersed in that, and reading subtitles really breaks the immersion for me a lot. I don't like reading stuff on screen when I can just kind of sit there and just take it all in. Unfortunately for this game, it's not so much like a single player focused narrative like I had hoped it to be. It's not really like the a linear game that I thought. There are like the open world sections.
I really
So
like those. They were quite polarizing, but I thought they were great. What do you
no, I
think?
mean they're okay. I mean, like it's cool to see this open world, post-apocalyptic thing. It's just that I find a lot of it to just be empty wasteland, and there's really no reasons to like go and search because the loot is just the same two things.
Yeah,
It's just like you get some crafting materials, which after a while, it's just like this kind of takes away from like searching this one area. So, and you don't want to actually get into a firefight with the mutants because you waste resources, which you need to craft all the different bullets. So uh, I know I prefer the linear levels in the game. I think those are like really well done, and I kind of wish the whole game was made like that, like the previous Metros. I understand why they went
Metro
open
Last
world.
Light did have like a couple of sort of wide linear areas, like the bit in the swamp.
Yeah,
I thought they would be that size because that was still quite a tight open world ish area. Maybe it was just like they're a bit went a bit too big. I think like for a game to be that open world, it kind of needs like a better sort of loot system or something.
yeah. I mean, the gun customization stuff's really cool. Like you can break out your backpack and change all the different things on your guns. That's great. The story is pretty interesting. It's just that the gunplay is not the greatest, and I think the open world kind of distracts from what they have done really good. But I mean, I'm enjoying it. I think I'm towards the end. But I see like irrelevant natives say, "Rand, the man with the million unread books, Al Thor." No, you see, the thing is, like, I've read a ton of books. I was really big into stuff like A Song of Ice and Fire and things like A Wheel of Time, which I named, my gamer tag after. I've read so many like fantasy sci-fi books. The thing is, though, when I play video game,
I'm so smart. My name's Rand.
I know. Shout out to Irrelevant Native for the super chat, but um, I don't know. When I play a video game, I just want to be in the world, and like reading stuff on screen that the characters are saying takes me out of it. I just want to just watch them speak and not have to have my because I always find my eyes. I don't know if anybody else has this problem in chat when subtitles are on, but I tend to watch the subtitles because I'm reading them, and I don't look at what's going on the rest of the screen. So you're missing like subtle facial animations or what's going on in the distance or the beautiful picture that my 4K television is displaying. So that's why I turn it off because I just want to watch it like I'm watching a movie. In that instance. But maybe that's just me. I know some people maybe like subtitles. I know like Zalker and Colt and a few of my buddies. They can't. They're always in a party playing these single player games, and I'm like, what are you guys doing here? Like, you should be like by yourself, enjoying the story, not
That's
listening to us ramble about stupid stuff because it takes away.
that's exactly why I haven't got around to finishing games like The Last of Us yet, is because like when I do have time to play games, I want to play games with my friends, but I don't want to play single player games when I'm playing with my friends because they're distracting.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Like when I'm with my friends, I would want to play a multiplayer game, and I don't want to play a single player game.
Yeah.
So like when Days Gone comes out next week, I'll be in a party by myself and just experiencing Days Gone. And even when I play Mortal Kombat 11 next week, when I go through that story, even though it's a fighting game, I want to be alone. Now the thing with Metro is it's not that story driven, so like you can be in a party like I was most of the time for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because Odyssey's really not heavy on the story. So it's just like you can just kind of chill and have fun and go be in a party and talk. But man, like I couldn't imagine playing God of War in a party with people yapping in my ear, I just couldn't imagine that.
Rip.
Anyways, Colt says Rand won't play games with me. That's not true. I won't play Borderlands with you. Ugh. They've been playing Borderlands, and it's just
you not like Borderlands?
No, I already played Borderlands. That's the thing. I played Borderlands on the 360. I have no interest in playing Borderlands again on the Xbox One. None whatsoever. Or Borderlands 2. Now, however,
I don't really like Borderlands.
If they remastered Dead Space 1 and 2, oh baby, I'll play that again. Or the Mass Effect trilogy.
I was just about to say, I want them to remaster the Mass Effect trilogy.
Mass Effect trilogy? I'll play that.
Did we talk about Bioware last week, by the way?
No, you want to lead that off? We can go right into Bioware before we get into all this other stuff.
Sure, man. Sure, baby.
Shout out to Dealer. He says puppy mouth friend. Yeah, that's their little thing for me. They say I have little puppy mouth. A little baby mouth. Yeah, I don't know why they say that. They're mean. That's the one thing you'll know about Cold Eastwood and Dealer Gaming and Zalker is they're very mean to me.
Oh,
very mean.
That's mean.
Yeah. All right, so Bioware, your favorite dev, one of them. They're in some hot water. Now we're gonna run through this topic quick before we get into all the good stuff because we didn't talk about it last week. What's going on with Bioware, Jez? Why are they sucking so much lately?
Okay, like I suppose for context, for those who don't know, Jason Schreier of Kotaku, who's basically the king of insider studio knowledge right now, he posted a whole bunch of exposés on Bioware recently, stemming from the backlash that is Anthem. So he basically posted several articles basically detailing what the hell's going on wrong with Bioware right now. Like how the Frostbite engine, they didn't know how to use it properly, how like the staff are being overworked and ignored by upper management, and basically tons and tons of issues, and also how Dragon Age 4 got cancelled, which led to a load of people leaving the team, and now Dragon Age 4 is now going to be a Mass Effect, an Anthem-like game using Anthem's tool sets. So it's going to be like basically like an online multiplayer game, which nobody asked for in the world. So it ain't looking good for Bioware. And like, I saw a really great take on this whole situation on Reddit the other day, where basically someone said, so let me get this straight. They have got Respawn Entertainment, who are responsible for some of the best multiplayer games ever made, making single-player games in Jedi Knight Fallen Order.
Yeah.
And they've got Bioware, known for some of the best RPGs, single-player RPGs ever made, working on loot shooter multiplayer games. What the hell is EA doing? I don't even know, man. So
Bioware's dead to me. I don't care. I tried
the
demo of Anthem. It was terrible. I'm glad I skipped on that game, and I like to play as many games as I can. They're dead to me. I don't care. Like, reading all that stuff that Jason Schreier said about how they treat their employees, right? Which EA came out and said, that's not true. And then literally the next day, Casey Huston's like, yeah, we need to, like, do something about all this. We can't, like, do the crunch. I'm sorry, but the Bioware that made Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, the Bioware that made Knights of the Old Republic, that Bioware is dead. Completely dead. This is like a new Bioware, and like I think people were holding out hope that they could regain some of that magic and be as good as they used to be. But I think it's pretty clear to anybody with a brain is they're a different studio and they're dead now.
Wow.
I'm sorry, Jez. We just held the funeral procession for Bioware on the show.
That's mean.
I know. But, since you mentioned it, Respawn, they got to show off their new game.
They did.
Star Wars Jedi game, Jedi Fallen Order, coming out November 15th. You know what? I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I actually really like Respawn. They've never let me down in anything they've made, whether it's Apex Legends or Titanfall 1 and 2, or when they were Infinity Ward and did, Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2. Even back when they were originally with EA and they did Medal of Honor. Man, I gotta say, that trailer did absolutely nothing for me.
Absolutely well, it wasn't even gameplay, was it?
No, and that's the thing. It's hard for me to get excited for a game, really excited for a game, without seeing some sort of gameplay for it. And when I was watching, I'm like, okay, it's a CGI trailer. I'm assuming, since Microsoft has the marketing rights for this game, which was pointed out by Windows Central. Nice little plug there.
Was it?
I'm assuming
I should read our own website sometime.
You should read your own website. You should. Basically, they're probably going to show the gameplay trailer at E3, since EA is not going to be there. I would imagine Microsoft would have a dedicated, 2 to 3 minutes to actually show the gameplay of the Star Wars game, because I want to see what it's like. The thing is, this is a different Respawn that's making it. It's not the Apex Legends team. It's not the Titanfall team. It's basically the creative or the game director of God of War 3 with the combat director of God of War Ascension.
Is it basically the remnants of Amy Hennig's studio?
No, there was a completely... Well, they could have hired them. I don't know, but I know Amy Hennig's team was working on a Star Wars game codenamed Ragtag. That they canceled back in 2017, and she went off to do other stuff. That was at Visceral, I believe, before they shut it down.
A lot of those stuff got shifted around, right? And I presume a lot of those assets got shifted around.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, or maybe just Respawn has a lot of pull at EA with Vince on the board or whatever, and Apex being as good as it is and, being as successful, they may have more pull. Because you remember, at one point, EA wasn't interested in making single-player games. And then, out of nowhere, they're marketing this game as single-player only, no microtransactions, no loot boxes, and they will never be any. It's like...
I hate EA patting themselves on the back for not having loot boxes in their own game. It's like... What do you want, EA? Do you want a medal? Do you want a medal for not playing pay to win in a single player game?
You want a medal? You create it's fun. Create the problem and then create the solution. Is basically what they did. EA created the problem in the first place, and now they want a pat on the back for creating the solution. Come on, it's I don't know. Maybe there was a different way of thinking at EA or something from when they canceled Visceral and their Star Wars game. But it's funny to see EA of all companies being like, no loot boxes, when they were the ones who basically ran loot boxes into the ground and still run that stuff into the ground with the FIFA Ultimate Team and the Madden Ultimate Team and all that stuff, right? Yeah. So much so that, does anybody else even do loot boxes anymore? Ever since
we got a lot of cosmetic loot boxes, and doesn't Call of Duty still get away with giving away guns in loot boxes? I think.
I don't know if Call of Duty actually has loot boxes. I mean, they have a season pass, they have a battle pass, they have microtransactions, but I'm not sure they actually have loot boxes, because I'm not sure any game since Star Wars Battlefront 2 has had actual paid for loot boxes. I think they've pretty much been removed from most games. Even Microsoft. When you look at Halo with their loot, the rec system, which is basically loot boxes, and Gears 4 with their Gears crates, they were one of the ones who were right there, step one into that area of microtransactions and loot boxes.
Fable Legends,
right? Ew. Completely removed. Forza Motorsport 7, because of the backlash, they're like, we're removing them from future Forza titles and Forza Horizon 4. Sea of Thieves had no microtransactions, to the point where they still even haven't released the pet DLC. State of Decay 2 just had regular expansions or whatever for $5 or $10. Forza Horizon has regular expansions, but even Microsoft, who was heavy into that, they haven't even done any of that. And I'm kind of interested in seeing if Gears 5 is like, can Gears 5 go back to those Gears crates after the backlash back in, what was it, 2017, 2018 for Star Wars Battlefront 2? I'm not really sure. Senior Grimm says basically screw EA. Thanks for the super chat, buddy, and the support. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Get Good with TF says Black Ops 4 has a ton of loot crates. Yeah, you know what, Rand? I think they slipped loot crates into Black Ops after launch. It was like when I played it at launch, it didn't have loot crates, and then it did.
Well, it had nothing because they waited for the review period to be over, and then they introduced all the microtransaction stuff. Activision are scummy.
Scummy.
And you know what?
I like the way you say that.
They're scummy, man. And the problem is people still buy that game. People they complain about Black Ops 4 and all the ridiculous monetization that games has, but people still buy it because they need their Call of Duty fix. They need that multiplayer fix.
You know, I like Call of Duty. I enjoyed Black Ops 4, but then you remember that they're using this cheap network infrastructure, and every other game is too laggy to actually hit anything. And then I end up going back to Battlefield every time.
If. Well, we got 340 people watching. We're almost at 100 likes. Hit that like button, guys. Let's see if we can get up to 200 before the end of the show. That would be pretty sweet.
Oh, Rand, I just had a thought.
Okay, what are you thinking, Jez?
Does Forza Street have loot boxes?
Oh my God, Forza Street. All right, we have to talk about this. And honestly, I'd completely forgot that game even existed until you just mentioned it.
When you said when you were saying that Forza removed the loot boxes, I was thinking, did Forza Street have loot boxes? Shall I fire up and check while we talk about it?
Yeah, open it up since it's free to play on Windows 10.
I uninstalled it already.
You uninstalled? Are you saying Forza Street's not good?
It's well, okay. First of all, for those who don't know, Microsoft a while back, Microsoft had a very strange soft launch for a game called Miami Street, and they had a Facebook group where they were gathering feedback on this game called Miami Street, which was crammed with Forza assets and licensed cars, and everyone was like, what is this game? What the hell is this game? And this was the game that was long rumored to be in development by Electric Square.
Yep.
Renamed now? Are they still called Electric Square?
They might be renamed, but yeah, it launched last year at Miami Street. We were all wondering, what the hell is this?
Well, yeah, and it was rumored to be a kart game, a Forza kart game, which sounds awesome, right? You could have a Forza kart game with Banjo in it, with Master Chief in it. You could have like a little warthog. God, the game basically writes itself. But no, what do we get? We got probably the most simplistic game I have ever played, I think, in my life. It's like an on rails racing game with rhythm game elements, and even the rhythm game aspects of it are simplistic. Basically, all you do in Forza Street is hold your finger on the screen to go. The game steers for you so you can't crash, and then you release your finger off the screen to brake. That is the gameplay of Forza Street.
I mean, what you just described there basically sounds like a mobile game.
It is a mobile game. It is coming on Android. It's on Android, iOS. They're marketing it as a Surface Go game, so Surface tablets, and it supports touch on Windows 10 and all that stuff. Or if you don't want to reach to the screen, you can click to race. So it's just like, man, I'm not even sure why this exists. Now, the interesting thing about Forza Street is when it was called Miami Street, we actually found that it might have rudimentary support for dual screen devices. So we were wondering if maybe Forza Street was supposed to be a prototype game for the Surface phone, the folding Surface phone. But obviously, a Surface phone It's probably never coming out. As such, we now have this Forza Street game, which just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, okay. So I have a couple things to say about this Forza Street game. I actually was gonna download and try it out before I truly like bashed it. But I've seen enough of the gameplay where it's like this is through and through a mobile game, through and through, right? Like it's designed for mobile. The question I have is, why isn't this game on Xbox?
Now, well, you answered your own question. It's a mobile game
I understand that, but why is it on PC then?
because it's a casual PC game designed for Windows tablets. Now,
So is Microsoft just saving us from bad games on Xbox?
I pretty much. I
So
think, right?
why did they fund a bad game then?
Now, we have to think if I'm going to play devil's advocate in this discussion round. We have to
Please,
think about.
you play devil's advocate. You tell me. All right, I'm a concern. Hey, Microsoft, you haven't really announced anything new for a while. The things that you do announced, Forza Street. I like Forza. I'm a big Forza fan. Why isn't this on my Xbox? I thought Xbox is PC and PC is Xbox. Gears Tactics. I'd like to play that. Why isn't that on my Xbox? What's going on? Why can't I get these two games on my Xbox, Mister Xbox PR person? Please tell me. Please enlighten me.
Well, Rand, it's because if you're playing an Xbox, we have another Forza game for you, and that's called Forza Horizon.
Oh, but my counter reply to that was like, well, aren't there Forza Horizon and Forza Motorsport on PC as well?
Yes. But you can play Forza Street using our lightweight devices, such as the Surface Go, which in no way, shape, or form could run a full-blown Forza game.
How many Surface Go's are in circulation right now?
Not a great deal, but Rand, I can tell you one thing that you may shock you. Candy Crush actually has millions of players on Windows 10.
I'm not surprised. Candy Crush is one of the biggest games in the world.
And also, Solitaire has millions of players on Windows 10.
I'm not surprised either. As Forza, are you saying to me, Mr. Xbox PR, that Forza Street is going to have millions and millions of players on Windows 10 as well?
I'm not suggesting that necessarily, Mr. Angry Fanboy, but what instead I am suggesting is that maybe Forza Street is for a different audience and not, in fact, for our core Forza audience. However, if they do want a casual Forza experience to play one-handed on their mobile device while they're commuting, maybe they could play Forza Street. I don't know. Can you give us some microtransaction money?
Are you basically telling me to get a PC then?
No, I think you should just wait a little while and get it on your Android device.
But I don't have Android.
You have an iPhone?
I do, but I don't like mobile.
My condolences. But luckily for you, we are bringing this out for peasant iPhone devices as well.
So okay. So the real issue here is that this game is garbage. And I think the bigger problem is that it has the Forza name attached to it. Because when I think of Forza, I think of quality. I think of the creme de la creme of the racing genre, whether it's the arcade version with Horizon or the simulation version with Motorsport. I think you degrade the Forza brand by making it a simple one-touch mobile game that is basically what I think it drags down the name of Forza.
But
they should have left it at Miami Street. They should have left it at Miami Street.
Still playing devil's advocate.
Okay, play devil's advocate. Let's hear your response.
It's not. I mean, it's not for us.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's a good. I'm not saying it's for Candy Crush fans.
Candy Crush fans aren't going to care about this game.
How do you know?
They're not.
What if this? Is a good point. Fallout Shelter is the most popular Fallout game.
Maybe.
because it's free, it's on everything, and it's easy to play in short, tiny little bursts. Now, I would rather play Fallout 3, Fallout 4, or Fallout 1 and 2 before I play Fallout Shelter. But a lot of people like that game, you know.
Okay.
So could it just be that this game deserves to exist for people who just might
Sure.
want
Look, I'm not saying the game really shouldn't exist. I mean, I do have issue with calling it Forza Street, although I understand why, because it's part of the brand, and Microsoft wants to get their brands further out there on the mobile. Hence, Gears
Well,
Pop.
that's another good point, though. It's like, again, playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying this is how I feel. This is just me playing devil's advocate before everyone in chat gets triggered, for the sake of discussion. But it's like, wouldn't this potentially give the Forza brand a bigger reach than the Forza games themselves?
I mean, maybe if it takes off, maybe if it's really good. I just find the idea that um, the big issue I hear isn't specifically with Forza Street, right? It's the idea that Xbox Play Anywhere works, and it's a one-way street though. It's Xbox games to PC, but PC games don't come to Xbox. So when I see stuff like Gears Tactics and Age of Empires 4 and Forza Street not be announced for Xbox, I look at that a little, side-eyed, because those games should be on Xbox despite their quality.
Yep.
Even if I don't want, because I don't want to play Forza Street. It's about the principle of the matter. And I don't care that Xbox games are on PC. I don't even care that Xbox games go to mobile. I think if like you're just going to do that, then Age of Empires 4 should be on the Xbox, even if it's the only way to play it is through plugging in a keyboard. Gears Tactics should be on Xbox because it's an XCOM game, and we have plenty of XCOM games on Xbox. We know those can work with the controller, and Forza Street should be on console. I know I see Stick Figure says it doesn't belong on console, and my stance on that is it probably doesn't. It's probably a shit game that Microsoft knows is shit that they don't want to put on console, but it's more about the principle of the fact that it's a one-way street between the PC and Xbox. And I don't necessarily think that's good, because if you say, well, we're not putting Forza Street on Xbox because it's not very good and it's not for you, then I'd be like, well, why is it on PC? Because it's not a PC game. As much as you want to, devil's advocate and say it's not, say it is, it's not. It's a mobile game. So if Forza Street was just an Android iOS title like Gears Pop, nobody would care. But for whatever reason, it's on PC.
Well, therein lies the issue. It's like Windows 10 is trying to be more than just a, PC platform, isn't it? Because now it can run on tablets. And like as I said or speculated, this probably was designed originally for the Surface phone, which now doesn't exist.
Yeah, I get it. There's just issues with this game. Like the whole Forza branding in general, I think, tarnishes the brand a little bit. But I understand why they make it. I understand why they make Gears Pop. I understand why they made Halo, like Spartan Assault for the phones. Like I understand trying to reach more people with mobile-friendly games. It's just like, if Forza Street's going to be on PC and Gears Tactics going to be on PC, then I also feel they should be on Xbox regardless of the quality of the title. But that's
I agree. I agree because I mean I think Spartan Strike never even came out to Xbox, which is so annoying.
Spartan Assault did, but
Spartan Assault did, but Spartan Strike never did.
But
like, I'm playing Forza Street right now, and there is like some annoying stuff in the game. Like there's time gating, which is the most
mobile stuff right there.
Disgusting mobile crap. There's like asynchronous multiplayer where I think it's making me race against people who've done the same level and try and beat their ability to tap on things. Stuff like that. It's weird, man. I'm not quite sure what exactly I'm supposed to do. It's like, it's just weird, man. I don't get it.
Well, you know what else is weird?
What?
the Inside Xbox yesterday where they announced the Xbox One S All Digital Edition,
I
aka
leaked that.
Sad Edition, which you leaked. I know you love saying,
I
my
leaked
leak
it. It
came
was
true.
me.
Look at me,
It was
just recorded,
me.
and I leak everything, and I'm always right. Me and Brad Sams are just too, we're always right about stuff. But
To be fair, the very first person who talked about Maverick was actually Zach Bowden.
Okay.
He had no idea what it was.
Giving credit to where credit's due. Now, Xbox One S All Sad Edition, they showed it off in a pretty interesting trailer. I actually thought the commercial that they used for it was pretty good. I like that. However, what I don't like is the price, Jez. $250 US, €229 for the European market. I think the system is completely overpriced. I think that. Well, you know what? I'm just gonna cut it right there and say it's completely overpriced at $250.
But
What
at
do you
the
think?
same time, to play devil's advocate,
Here we go with
how much does a disc?
Jez.
How much
Here
does
we
a
go.
disc drive actually cost? Costs like
$18, $20
yeah,
in bulk. Not a lot.
$20, $20 wholesale at most, including the license fee for Blu-ray.
Okay, but Mr. PR, I can go right now on Amazon and get a Battlefield 5 bundle with Xbox One S with a disc drive for $232.
I actually have a statement from PR about this exact thing.
But
do you want me to read it?
Well, no, they read it. They read it on the show. They said that they always want to maintain the $50 price gap between the Xbox One S and the all digital edition, right?
Right.
That's exactly what they said. You know what else I can get right now on Amazon? I can get a Forza Horizon 4 bundle for $250. I can get an Xbox One S starter kit, which comes with like Minecraft and Game Pass and stuff for $250. So shouldn't this system launch at $199? Shouldn't is that the price we're going to see when May 7th comes around and these things actually come out?
That's the kicker, isn't it, really? I think because I knew the price weeks ago. I didn't leak it because I was hoping it wasn't accurate. I was hoping it wasn't true because I knew if that was the price point, there was going to be a backlash. So I was thinking maybe that's, I don't know, Canadian dollars or something like that. I don't know. But as we got closer, WinFuture, a German website, they got hands on the German marketing materials for it somehow, and they leaked the price, which basically confirmed what I'd heard, that it was $250. It's tough because people always say, well, it comes bundled with Sea of Thieves, Forza Horizon 3 for some reason, and Minecraft. But the thing is, those are bundled for free. I think even if they weren't in the bundle, this would still be $250 because, as we established earlier, a disc drive just doesn't cost that much. It really doesn't cost that much. So basically, we get into the whole real discussion is, why does this thing exist?
Why does this exist? That's a good question. Why does this exist?
I honestly don't know why it exists. It's really poorly positioned, I think. It should have been called, like, I don't know, the Game Pass edition. It should have come with a year of Game Pass instead of a bunch of games. And maybe then you could have justified it, because at least then you're saying, like, there's like a tangible value there, and you position it alongside your digital first strategy. But launching it with a bunch of, consolidation prizes, basically, old games, and they are all old games, which most people probably own, which again makes it sound like, okay, well, this is aimed at complete newbies to the Xbox ecosystem. But why now say it inside Xbox, where only the hardcore audience is watching? It's almost like a bit of a smack in the face.
Yeah, and I think an all digital system is smart. But I think it needs to be priced appropriately. And for $250, even though the MSRP is $299, I'm saying right now the Xbox One overall is overpriced. The Xbox One S at $300 is overpriced. It should not be $299. That system should be MSRP 250. We're what 6 years into this gen, and we're still at systems at $300. But I think the goal of this system is basically the holidays. It's since they've said that they want to maintain the $50 price difference between the two versions. We know what happens around Black Friday and the holidays. Microsoft always sells the Xbox One S for $199 like this past year, or even like $180 like the year before. So if that were to be true, which of course it's going to be true because they get discounts all the time, and if we believe Microsoft's PR about always maintaining that gap, then the all digital edition becomes 150 with 3 games, and then it becomes a definitely more interesting proposition and becomes almost an impulse purchase for people, because then you're looking at like, man, for $150, and this is $100 like sale, because it'd be like normally $250, now it's $150, and it comes with Sea of Thieves and Forza Horizon 3, which should be 4, or what's the other game? Minecraft. It honestly should just be 6 months of Game Pass instead of those 3 games. Then the true purpose of that system becomes apparent, because nobody's going to buy this like regularly full priced. It's basically a play, in my opinion, for the holidays. When the system can go on sale and they can have a system for $140, which people look at and be like, yeah, for $140, why not? Right? That's what I think. I don't know. Do you agree with that at all?
I agree with that. I mean, the PR person basically said to me, like, we are aiming to have a $50 disparity between both bundles at all times, and then obviously they said they can't control what retailers do. But it's just not great optics when it's like, because we do a lot of price comparisons on Windows Central, right? We're like, as part of our shopping coverage. And the fact of the matter is, when we're covering this thing in a shopping context, it's like, well, what do you buy? Do you buy a $230 bundle with a disk drive, or buy a $250 bundle without a disk drive? It's a no-brainer. You're losing the disk drive. And like, people say, well, what big deal is a disk drive? Not only do you lose the ability to play 4K movies, but you also lose access to disk-based games. You lose the ability to trade things in. You lose the ability to own things permanently. And sometimes you get like collector's editions which only have the disc in rather than digital copy and stuff like that. So you lose a lot of versatility, while also paying more. So I think like Microsoft should have maybe swallowed a bit more off the top, just to make sure that they could undercut all the bundles that are out there already, because at the moment it just doesn't. And like, maybe it will down the line, and you'd expect it will, right? But I think like bundling it up with the those 3 games just added to the confusion. But I've talked to like a few people about the bundling of the games, and it seems like that might have been a last minute thing.
I think so, because
the reason. Sorry, go on. What were you gonna say?
I think I remember. I think I saw somebody who is a quote unquote insider basically said that originally it was 6 months of Game Pass.
Maybe
instead of the 3 games.
I think like I think that might be part of it, but the fact of the matter is, I think like, because when Brad Sams originally wrote up his expose on Maverick and what it was, he said that there was going to be a disc to digital program. Now, the disc to digital program is nowhere to be seen.
Yep, that's true.
That isn't because Brad was wrong. That was definitely a thing that was happening, but it's nowhere to be seen. And I think I know why that might be. I think, if I am 100% accurate on this, GameStop isn't stocking.
Yes, that was one of the announcements. I don't know if you recall it. So they said that you can order from the Microsoft Store. They said you can get it from Walmart, Best Buy, and Amazon. Yeah. They did not mention GameStop, because why would GameStop stock this?
Now, that's the thing, but GameStop was supposed to be one of the companies that was going to run this digital trading program. And I suppose the digital trading program was supposed to be some kind of fig leaf to retailers who are going to lose out as we progress more towards an all-digital future. Philosophically, an all-digital console it defies GameStop's business model, you know, and companies in the UK like Game and Electronics Boutique in Australia and countries, you know, every country has its own like games shop sort of system. But an all-digital console completely defies that whole, you know, business model. So if Microsoft has fallen out with GameStop, who, you know, their relevance is waning, but they're still relevant, maybe like without the disc to digital program, they bundled those games as like a sort of way of saying, look, this is supposed to be for newcomers, not you guys. Because if it was for everybody, then you would need a disc to digital program to help you convert over. But GameStop doesn't want you to convert over.
No, GameStop's whole business model at least revolved around selling used games, and the all digital system. Well, that's not that's not the case anymore.
Yeah,
it's just it needs like because I mentioned before I was on a podcast with Fonz yesterday because he was questioning like what's the purpose of this thing at $250? It doesn't make a lot of sense. And of course, I said the same thing I'd said earlier that well, holidays it'll make sense when it's $150. But for right now, like I don't know, I would recommend most people not buy it. Wait for it to eventually be on sale. And then go from there. It is interesting that GameStop's not carrying it. Does that mean Microsoft, you know, because the whole thing that this is an experiment to see if people would really choose a no disk drive Xbox for the future. What does that mean if for Xbox Anaconda and Lockhart? You know, there's talk that maybe Lockhart might not have a disk drive. Does that mean GameStop won't carry it? You know, all those kind of questions that move forward. But David Rainey has a question in chat. He says, isn't it fair to say that there would have been backlash no matter how they positioned the digital console release? Thanks for the question in the super chat.
I don't think so. I think if it was $200, I think it would have been a bigger cost saving for it to have made sense, even in people's minds who like don't see any reason to get one. And like I honestly think like the fact that the disc to digital program didn't happen for whatever reason, the complexities or negotiations fell through or whatever, I think that really derailed the announcement. I feel like that aspect of it, you know, if it really was a thing.
I think what derailed the announcement was simply the price. I think if the price was low enough, there'd be no backlash. I also think there was a little bit more backlash against it because Sony came out and was like, PS5 stuff, guys! PS5! Oh, what's this Xbox Sad console? And it just kind of looked like old news at that point. You know, Sony's talking about the new hotness. Microsoft's talking about, you know, another Xbox console, right? So
are you saying the fact that I leaked it ruined the announcement by making it old news?
No, I'm not. Well, okay,
oh my god, I feel bad now. Oh my god,
there is a little bit of that about announcing things beforehand. So it's like when people like take for instance the acquisitions from last year. Like people knew they bought Playground Games because it was basically on federal like UK websites, right? Like people knew it happened.
Federal.
I mean, not federal, like whatever the UK government stuff is. Like it was like there, and people had saw it because it was public, and were like, okay, Microsoft like bought Playground, right?
Royal Highness.
But then when the announcement happened, people were happy that the Playground was acquired because they make great games. But it was just like we already know about this. But then Ninja Theory happened, and people were like, holy crap, because nobody knew about it. Now imagine the scenario if nobody had leaked or said anything about Obsidian being a target, and at XO18 Microsoft, by the way, we got Obsidian, people would have been like, oh my god. So sometimes the leaks can take away from the excitement of the announcement, which is probably why PR doesn't like them at all. So
yes, I wouldn't have been any excitement for this though.
No. I do think the backlash has mostly to do with the fact of the price. I think it's squarely the price. If it was cheaper, there wouldn't be as much backlash. But you know, there's another thing from inside Xbox that I wanted to talk about before we get into the PS5, Xbox Anaconda, Xbox Lockhart stuff. Jez, so They announced FanFest. They're giving 700 tickets. I recommend anybody who hasn't gone to FanFest to actually try to go. It is an incredible experience. I was there in 2016. I think tickets go on sale this Friday. So hopefully anybody that really wants to go can get to go. Because, I mean, I would love to go again. It's just, being here in Chicago and personal stuff, sometimes it's just hard to make the trip out to LA. But go to FanFest. It's a great time. There are great members in the Xbox community, even though I see a lot of PlayStation gamers say Xbox or Xbots are horrible. Let me tell you, I've met some incredible friends here in the Xbox community. I met him at FanFest. I mean, you, Tim Dog, my bro Tim Dog, who I love like a brother. I went to E3 with him back in 2016. There's a lot of great people in the Xbox community that go every single year. You have the Iron Lords, Lord Cognito, Lord King, King David. Like Southbound goes every year. There's just great people that go. So if you can, go to one of those things. I know Colt Eastwood's kind of been thinking about it, and I always tell him, you should go. Colt Eastwood, if you're still listening, you need to go to FanFest because it's awesome.
I'm not allowed to go.
I know, well, because you're press. I wish I could go this year. Right now, it's not looking so good. Omar says the same Tim Dog that lies on Twitter. Don't you talk about my Tim Dog like that. He's my bro. Don't you dare talk to him about that. Tim Dog not liar.
Does Tim Dog lie? I think he just.
I don't know. I mean, there's people that lie on Twitter, but it ain't Tim Dog. I'll tell you that much.
Like that. He's the Xbox version of J-Dub.
Yeah, Xbox version of J-Dub. But there was an announcement that piqued my interest at Inside Xbox, and that was the backwards compatibility stuff. Not because I'm excited about more backwards compatibility stuff. You know my stance on it. I don't need it, right? But I'd rather have it. So it's great that there is some back compat stuff going on. It's the games they announced to be X enhanced, Jez. The games they announced. Shout out to Megatron in the chat. Another guy I met at E3 2016. Awesome dude. Is part of the new TXR podcast. You guys should check that show out. He's amazing. Shout out to you, brother. I had a great time with you. He drove me around E3 in 2016. He's an awesome guy. You guys should follow him on Twitter. Love you, Megatron. Hope you're doing well. I know you just had a visit out to the mothership at Redmond. Hopefully that was really, really, really good. Did you see the games that they X enhanced?
Yes. So we got. Hang on. I know they did Fables, right?
They did Fable 2 and Fable 3, right? But almost as importantly, they did Splinter Cell Double Agent, Splinter Cell Conviction, and Splinter Cell Blacklist. Jazz, please tell me, am I reading too much into this? Jazz, tell me, please.
Sure.
No. How?
I think it's really nice of them to X-enhance a dead franchise. It's really nice of them.
Jazz, I swear to God, right now I'm about to boot you from this call.
It's really nice of them to X-enhance a franchise that's going to be a pay-to-win mobile game very soon.
Jazz, I swear, you better watch your tone right now. You better watch it. To me, I'm watching this, and it's like, okay, we got Ninja Gaiden 2. Great game. X-enhanced. Awesome, right? And then it's like literally 3 Splinter Cells from last gen. X-enhanced. Not that they're coming to back compat because they're already in back compat. It's Double Agent, Conviction, and Blacklist, which, by the way, if you guys haven't played Blacklist, play that game. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's one of the better Splinter Cell games, right? I mean, outside of like Chaos Theory and Pandora Tomorrow and the original and stuff, right? So here I am thinking like, maybe it's just a coincidence. But then they do Fable 2 and 3, Jez. And what have I been saying for a while? Microsoft needs to tease the new Fable game. And they just happened to enhance Fable 2 and Fable 3 in the last Inside Xbox before E3. Am I reading too much into this? Are we actually going to see a new Splinter Cell and a new Fable announced at E3? Because if that's the case, this makes a whole lot of sense. Maybe I'm just trying to be wishful here and thinking that we're about to get a new Splinter Cell. I mean, Ubisoft has been pretty open about talking about, we want to do a new Splinter Cell, but we weren't really sure how to do it. I mean, I know it existed at one point. I know a buddy of mine who has played it, so I know it was real at some point. But I just see this stuff, and my heart begins to beat real fast. My pulse starts to race My eyes dilate, and I think about future Splinter Cells with Michael Ironside and maybe a new Fable by Playground. Tell me it's happening.
I don't know, man. I mean, we've heard that Playground's making Fable. Don't know much more than that. Studio's probably on lockdown, stop any leaks. Pretty hard to get leaks from actually inside Microsoft Studio. But in any case, I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't think Fable is. I was never a massive fan of Fable personally. Was you?
I like Fable 1 quite a bit. Fable 2 was alright, even though the co-op limitations. 3 wasn't very good, no.
See, I wouldn't be sad. I'm sure like a lot of people be particularly upset if Playground just decided, you know what, we want to make our own franchise, put our own stuff out there instead of working on this sort of dormant IP. Is it fair to call it that? Dormant.
Are you calling Fable or Splinter Cell dormant? Which one?
Fable. I'm calling Splinter Cell dead. Splinter Cell's dead. Fable's dormant.
I mean, okay. So it's been a while since there's been another Fable. Been a last Fable. What is it? Fable 3 was. I'm blanking on when that even came out, but it's been quite some time, and they were working on Fable Legends, which they shut down. So yeah, it's dormant, which is why I think it's time. You could time it for a revival. Give it to Playground. Hire people who know what they're doing with an open world RPG, and let them make a AAA, action RPG to the best of their ability. Splinter Cell, it's like Ubisoft is killing it right now. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Division, like everything they really seem to touch does extremely well. But the thing with Splinter Cell is like, does it fit their current mindset of the games they make? The ongoing live services. Most of the games that Ubisoft makes are open world to some degree, right? Does an open world Splinter Cell make sense? I mean, it would have a multiplayer, which, Ubisoft loves their multiplayer. Spies versus Mercs, one of the more creative and unique multiplayer modes out there. But does that work in this kind of era of the live service game that Ubisoft goes after? I think they'll make one because I think the fans demand it, but I'm not sure. I don't want my heart to be broken again, Jez. It's been broken too many times. Dark Time says Splinter Cell's dead, man. No, I will not accept that Splinter Cell's dead. I would not accept it. Fable will not be Fable without Lionhead. Well, Lionhead's gone, so it's time to get new blood in there.
Because a lot of the Lionhead team did actually end up at Playground,
yeah,
and Rare actually. So, it's the DNA is probably there. Playground is a British studio, so they can bring all that Britishisms into the game and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think it would need to be a reboot rather than a sequel, because I think the concepts from Fable are super outdated. I think like a lot of what people liked about Fable was the potential that it could build on rather than what it actually was. Like Peter Molyneux, I mean, it was a meme, wasn't it? Peter Molyneux overselling things when he was talking about Fable and stuff. I think the first E3 I ever watched was Peter Molyneux bigging up Fable 2, and then I bought Fable 2 based on what Peter Molyneux said. I wasn't that impressed with it even back then.
That is the thing with the dog, right? Like, oh, you have this dog, and
yeah, the dog. Yeah. I mean, the dog was cool.
Peter Molyneux was a good used car salesman. He could sell you a used car that was basically falling apart, and you'd think you were getting a deal. He was just that good at it.
He's just like a passionate guy. I don't think he was like trying to deceive people. I think he just had a different perception of how good his games were, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I ain't a big Fable fan. If they do want to bring Fable back and put their mark on it, I think it needs to be a reboot or something truly delivers on the promises the game made rather than just tries to emulate what the game did.
Fable in the vein of Witcher. There you go.
What, hyper violent? I mean, man, Fable 2 wasn't exactly unviolent. I mean, the gunplay in Fable 1, you could blow people's heads off. Fable 2, if I remember.
Yeah.
Heads would explode like melons in Fable 2.
Yeah, so those games have been enhanced. I was just kind of curious to think, man, well, I guess we'll find out in less than 60 days. Because Phil Spencer, he was also part of Inside Xbox. He filmed this segment. He talked about E3, about the pressure of being the only platform holder to have a live show since Sony's not going to be there. Talked about what we'll see. Basically said that you will see new games from some of the new studios, and that some of the new studios are a little bit not as close to release. He mentioned the Outer Worlds more than likely will be there clearly because it's their game now. I do wonder if the Outer Worlds would launch on Game Pass right now. When it comes out.
I am totally limiting my expectations for the Outer World.
Okay, you're limiting your expectations. PC gamers hate it because it's the Epic Store exclusive.
Yeah, but it had the Outer Worlds are so funny. It had this huge outpouring of love because they announced it in the wake of Fallout 76 sucking, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, finally we're basically getting a spiritual successor to Fallout New Vegas," which people widely consider the best 3D Fallout game because basically all your choices mattered and stuff like that. But the thing about Fallout New Vegas is they didn't have to make any assets. Well, not very many assets. They didn't have to make an engine. It was already there, done for them. So, of course, they could go all out making those really intricate plots that had, loads of outcomes and stuff like that because they didn't really have to make anything. They just, reskinned a lot of the models that were already there in Fallout 3, added a handful of new ones, and then basically it's just a big budget mod, speak some blasphemy. That's what New Vegas was. And I love New Vegas, but it was basically just a big budget mod. And if they're making the Outer Worlds from the ground up, I don't think there's any reason to expect that it's going to have the same content spread that New Vegas had. I mean, it's their first really big 3D game since New Vegas, is it? Did they release a big 3D game since New Vegas? I don't think so.
I mean, I think they mostly release stuff like Pillars of Eternity, right?
Yeah, they released Pillars of Eternity in the first South Stick of Truth. They released that.
Yep,
those are all 2D games. They're good, but they're not big budget 3D complicated RPGs. So I'm excited, and I like Obsidian, and I like Pillars of Eternity, and I like New Vegas and all that stuff, but I am sort of limiting my expectations because I think a lot of people have really overblown expectations for what that game could achieve. Personally, I said it's similar in scope to KOTOR 2. Well, I haven't played KOTOR 2. I've only played KOTOR 1. Have you played KOTOR 2, Ron?
I have not played KOTOR 2. I played KOTOR 1 and really liked it, but I didn't play the second one.
Speaking of Knights of the Old Republic, did you hear?
Yes,
off topic.
Yes.
They're going to do a TV show or movie about Knights of the Old Republic.
I did see that.
In the Old Republic era.
Yep.
How amazing is that?
Yeah, they should have did Knights of the Republic 3, shouldn't they have?
Yeah, I mean, you've got Bioware in your publishing house. You've got the Star Wars license. You've got tons of staff who worked on Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO who know all about Star Wars. Why not make Knights of the Republic 3?
Why not?
Because EA is stupid and they hate money.
Nah, they love money. They love money. So, yeah, I mean, I thought Phil's interview was the best part of Inside Xbox. I'm not really a fan of Inside Xbox whatsoever, but the expectations are set.
I keep telling myself Inside Xbox isn't for me. Then I start thinking, well, who's it for then? Because nobody seems to like it that much.
I don't know, I'm sure it's for somebody, but he basically he set the expectations by saying they're gonna be some of the games that from some of the studios you'll see. So I mean, Gears will be there, Halo will be there, no brainers, Ori will be there, but it's really the new studios, and it's well, Undead Labs, that's probably not going to happen. Compulsion's not going to happen, so you can scratch those two off.
Wonder Labs might announce some kind of DLC for State of Decay.
Yeah, but I don't really think that's what he was talking about. Like, we know, I think we're pretty sure Ninja Theory's new game is going to be there and come out next year. Yeah. There's always the possibility Playground's Fable game gets teased, which I hope so. I honestly hope.
Tease it, man.
I honestly hope they end the show with it. You know,
I want Microsoft to grow a pair, basically.
Grow a pair. And I know people. Here's the thing: people say, "Well, Rand, Microsoft doesn't like announcing things too early at E3," and sometimes I say to that, "Bullshit." How long ago did they announce Ori 2? It was E3 2017, was it not? And it was at E3 2018, and it's going to be at E3 2019. That's 3 E3s. Honestly,
that's exactly what I mean when I say that they need to grow a pair and announce games a bit early.
Well, that's the thing.
Get us excited. Give us things to look forward to. At the moment, the PC guys have Gears Tactics and Age of Empires 4 to look forward to. What the Xbox guys have to look forward to?
Well, so if Microsoft does tease Fable this year, so you got E3 2019, they show it next year at E3 20, they show it the year after in 2021. I mean, it's possible it could come out then, or maybe 2022. I'm just saying, like, I think, I gotta be careful about how I say this. The whole Phil doesn't like to announce things too early, I think was how do I say this? Was a response basically to the fact that they had literally nothing to show. So, what better way to tell people that they don't want to show stuff early when you know you don't have anything to show, period? So you make it so it's like, you know what I mean? It's about getting also burned by Scalebound, getting burned by Fable Legends and things like that. But it's also, at the time he was saying that stuff, there wasn't really much in the pipeline. So you could he says we like to announce stuff closer to release, but they didn't really have anything anyways. So then you look at like Ori 2, a game that was announced at E3 2017, not coming out until 2019, being at 3 E3s. Halo Infinite will basically be at 3 E3s, right? Last year, this year, next year. I mean, Gears 5, 2 years. I mean, they if you look at some of their games, I know people like laugh at like Sony. Last of Us 2, which they talked about in 2016. That'd be 3 years potentially. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes Microsoft is guilty of it as Sony is. At least I don't know, when I was looking at some of the other announcements from Microsoft. XPlay, he has a question. Thanks for the super chat, brother. He says, "What do you envision for Halo Infinite? For me, I see it being Halo's versions of God of War 4, massive sweeping open world single player game." What do I want from Halo Infinite? I want a great Halo game and a great full packaged Halo game that encompasses an amazing single player co-op campaign with an amazing multiplayer and a great firefight mode. I just want a complete Halo package. We got half of that package with Halo 5. It had an amazing multiplayer, but it had a very lackluster single player. I want the full package this time. And when they talk about it being a spiritual reboot, there's talk that it might be open world to some degree, which I'm not really sure I'm into an open world Halo. Not everything needs to be open world, right? And not every game needs to go that route. But Neverland says disagree in Halo 5 multiplayer. Hey, that's your right. You didn't like Halo 5 multiplayer. I loved it. I have like over 200. I think I have almost 300 hours into the multiplayer. I love the Halo 5's multiplayer. That's just me. I think 343 will do good by Halo's multiplayer. I just question if they can craft a interesting and compelling and great Master Chief focused story. Because quite frankly, outside of a few people, nobody wanted Master Chief in his story in Halo 5. Halo is about Master Chief. It's not about Locke. Jez, any comments on that?
Well, I think, first of all, I think because there were rumors that it was going to be more like an RPG-ish.
Yeah, more RPG stuff, which would kind of tie in with the open world stuff.
I've heard that isn't true.
What? You said it's not true? No RPG stuff?
Well, I've heard that there might be sort of some soft progression mechanics. But if you're expecting, like, like the way Ubisoft's taken Assassin's Creed, now it's got levels and loot and stuff like that. Don't think you're going to be leveling up Master Chief and stuff like that. I don't
Yeah.
think that
I mean,
is.
I think the idea of leveling up Master Chief is kind of ridiculous in the first place. The dude's already like a super soldier. He's ready to save the world countless times. Maybe if you get different type of gear, upgrade your weapons, that might be something. But like, yeah, the idea of like I'm gonna put more hit points in Master Chief doesn't really. I
Yeah,
mean, that can't be what they're.
Yeah, you're not going to be leveling up Master Chief. So don't assume that they're going to drastically screw with the formula that people know and love. That said, I do think they need to do a few things to make it more fresh. I think, like, I don't know. I'm not really sure what they could do with it, really. I think, like, bringing the flood back would be great. Doubling down on the writing
The
and
flood.
the villain delivery. Like, what was his name? The Didact? I think
Yeah, the Prometheans are horrible enemies. They're not fun to fight. At least the
I hate
flood.
robots, man. I swear, Microsoft puts robots in the games because they're trying to, like, I don't know, pacify the violence in the games. They want to make less violent games. I honestly get that impression sometimes. Like, I know, like, Gears 5 had the DBs. Everyone hates the DBs. And then
Salty.
they sort of gave up on the DBs and just
Well, yeah, that's what made
loped back to
that's what
business.
made the first act of Gears 4 so boring was because you were fighting the robots.
Stupid
But
DBs.
Saltiest Gaming in chat says not a fan of the Flood, and I get that some people aren't. But I always thought the Flood were a good counterpoint to the Covenant. The Covenant being the super smart, aggressive AI that could have tactics and engage you in a very great firefight versus the zombie brain dead enemies that just ran at you. So it
I
offered.
love the Flood. I mean, well, I'll rephrase. I love the Flood in Halo 1 and 2.
The
But
Flood
Halo
included in 3.
3, they had those, like, turret flood. My God, they're annoying. Like, they'd like skitter around and then crawl up on walls and then turn into a needle turret. I hated those guys, and they weren't even, like, you couldn't even dismember them, so they weren't even that fun to kill.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of appreciate that some people don't like the flood, but robotic enemies are just so boring to me.
Well, I mean, what about tying it into Halo Wars 2 and having
Banished.
the Banished, the Coven, the Brutes come back as
Yeah.
the primary villains, right?
The
The thing about the
Atriox is
Prometheans,
badass, right?
you know why I think they like the Prometheans, because the weapons look so damn cool. The Promethean weapons when you actually lose it, like the shotguns and but like they're just robots. They're like the dogs and the other stuff. They're just not fun to fight in the way that the Covenant was fun to fight. The
Yeah.
way that the Brutes were fun to fight. So if they can tie it in with Atriox, being the main villain, or at least maybe a side villain or something with Katana, uh, and then also have the flood as kind of like a big reveal thing. Like there's another flood on the thing. I think it could be really cool. Like I just need they just need to get away from the Promethean stuff. They need to get away from splitting the story focus from Master Chief. Nobody cares about Locke. His nobody wants his story. I'm not saying you can't have a game with Locke, but not in a mainline Master Chief game or Halo game, right?
I think, like, a lock ODST style sort of game would be cool. Like
Yeah.
a spin-off with Locke. I don't.
No, I mean spin-offs are fine. And that's the other thing I want. I would love to see 343, make something a spin-off something of Halo somewhere, right? They're such a big studio. I think they have like 500 or 600 people, and it's like, are they all just literally working on Halo Infinite? I mean, I know Halo Infinite's a big project, but I would also love to see them, do something different, like a different style of game set in the Halo universe.
I tweeted out the other day, like, because I've been playing Halo Wars 2 a bit on streams and stuff, because I really like Terminus Firefight mode, which is like basically tower defense gameplay on steroids. I really, really like tower defense games, and I really love Halo Wars 2's tower defense mode. But I was thinking, like, how the engine is just like such a waste. They could take, like, Halo Wars 2 and flip the engine around and either, like, make some kind of XCOM style tactics game, top down, or even like a Diablo style looting game, top down, using that engine. Maybe you play as the Covenant, so you can have the different classes. Be a like Gullo hunter or be a brute barbarian, stuff like that. I think that'd be awesome. And there's a lot they could do with that franchise that they haven't really explored in a great amount of depth. And hopefully that's where they'll be putting their priorities moving forward. After, of course, they nail the mainline game, because that's where I think they need to.
They need to nail that. Axel1324 says they're not robots; they're digitized humans with hard light bodies and battle armor. Gee, I know the lore behind the Prometheans. Shout out to Irrelevant Native for the super chat. He says, if Infinite is a looter shooter, Borderlands clone with gun modding, I'm equipping the pistol scope on everything. Enemies need to be grunts only. Yeah, that pistol, pretty badass. And maybe it would have some of that. I wonder if you could have tiered loot in a Halo game. Maybe not. See, the thing is, you got to keep Halo, like, Halo's in that tough spot where you can't really do new stuff because you got to, like, kind of keep what people know and love about Halo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that tough thing. But I mean, then you look at what like Sony Santa Monica did with fabled franchise and God of War. They took it in a completely different direction, but at the same time, still retained the identity of God of War. You look at like Resident Evil 2, the remake. I mean, it's Resident Evil 2, but updated for modern times. You just got to be careful about what you do. You just got to be really careful. But the big news from yesterday, which me and Judge want to talk about a little bit, is the PlayStation 5 stuff that Sony just casually dropped randomly on a Tuesday in a Wired article. Just by and be like, oh, by the way, PlayStation 5's coming, guys. It'll be 8K. So 8K resolution. It's got SSD, super fast loading times. Oh, by the way, back and pat, casual announcement. Even though, a lot of Sony fans were talking smack about Xbox back and pat the whole gen. What else? Ray tracing. I'll have ray tracing.
Back and pat with PS4 and not PS3, right?
Well, just right now, currently PlayStation 4. More than likely, I would say probably not PlayStation 3, maybe PS2 and PS1. So yeah, like I was so caught off guard, and I think a lot of people were caught off guard that this happened. And you put out a tweet yesterday saying that you think Microsoft is hard pressed to match the announcement or match what Sony's doing or something, right?
Well, I suppose at like first glance, it sounded like it was a pretty beefy system, And I was thinking like to find that sort of sweet spot between power and price point. I think like it'd be interesting to see if Microsoft can match it, because Microsoft are going to use custom parts again. They're going to use they're going to do some sort of voodoo magic with all this stuff, and there's a real, I suppose, like I don't want to say concern, but like you do have to wonder like how easily Microsoft could over-engineer it or even under-engineer it. It's Microsoft's in a more complicated place because presumably they are doing the dual system thing, right?
Supposedly, I mean, the rumors point to Microsoft doing Anaconda and Lockhart. Judging from Cerny's comments, it looks like there's just going to be a single PlayStation 5. Which, I mean, they announced the specs, but they didn't really announce the specs. Like, we know that it's a Zen 2 CPU. We know that it's a Navi GPU. AMD's making it. We know that it has ray tracing, but like the raw technical power, we don't know what the clock speed is on the CPU. We don't know what the teraflop power of the GPU is. We don't know how much RAM it has. So it was almost a very smart way of Sony stealing a lot of thunder from Microsoft, who was going to announce their stuff at E3, right? Like Microsoft, Brad Sams reported that they were gonna talk about Lockhart and Anaconda at E3 and go from there. And we all know Sony wasn't going to be at E3 because, I mean, their own words, from Sean Layden, they didn't have any new updates for their fans on anything, basically, outside of like what they've shown the last couple years, which is, hey, that's what you get when you announce your entire slate of games back in 2016, you know? And everything else is basically for the PlayStation 5, which I guess they were not ready to talk about fully, even though they will drop these hints. So, in my opinion, you know, we look at this and it's like, I think it was some people will jump on me in chat, but I thought it was genius of Sony. I thought it was like so smart of them to jump ahead of the conversation and not wait for Microsoft, because they know Microsoft is waiting for E3. But now the next gen conversation is all in Sony's court, because when Microsoft takes the stage and announces they have an SSD and that loading times are drastically reduced, right? And that they have ray tracing and that they have a Zen 2 CPU and a Navi AMD GPU, most people will be like, so does PlayStation. And PlayStation didn't even say anything about anything else. It was just like Sony just got out in front of it and made it about them. So when Microsoft comes out and basically people just be like, Sony already did it first. So it's not seen as, what's the word I'm looking for? Special? It's like Sony stole their thunder. So in that regards, I thought that announcement was genius by Sony. They said so much without saying anything. And they reassured their core audience, their core gamer audience who plays PlayStation, that there is another console coming. Sounds like it's going to be a beast. It's physical. You know, it's going to have a disc drive. It's back compat on PlayStation 4, so buy all the games that you want. And by the way, next week, Days Gone comes out, a new IP from Sony. It's like they're just constantly building this goodwill and this momentum moving forward. I don't know. I thought it was brilliant. Do you agree with that? What would you know? Play devil's advocate here, Jazz. What do you want to do on this one?
Nah, I thought it was pretty good of them to have done it the way they did. Like we were talking about earlier, how like they did it on the day of, you know, Inside Xbox, and Microsoft had their all digital edition to announce, and it just sort of, it puts Sony up here and he puts Xbox down here again. Like it's a little hit, you know, not like a big megaton or anything, but it's just like, you know, it's not easy to be an Xbox fan a lot of the time, you know, because we are constantly waiting for this big E3 show, and it'll be a great show. But like, I often think like, it's funny, right? Because on the one hand, Microsoft seems to be in tune with the way marketing is going. You know, they're like, yeah, we're going to make our own mixer platform, which seems to be doing pretty well. Sorry, you know, and you know, you got people from Xbox coming out and saying, "Oh, game reviewers are obsolete, or we need streamers now," and stuff like that. But then, like, on the flip side, they wait the whole year to dump all their information on E3, which seems like old hat now. You know, you got Nintendo dropping these little updates here and there the whole year round, and with their Nintendo Directs, and now you've got Sony doing something similar. You know, stuff like that. I think Microsoft could stand to be a little bit more upfront, especially considering, you know, they've got the whole inside Xbox platform to announce things, and they don't really use it to announce anything that big. Don't you think?
Yeah,
waiting for
E3 really
every year is lame.
Well, I mean, like Nintendo does special stuff during their directs. I mean, they just dropped that Joker thing yesterday. They announced like Super Smash Bros. Randomly at an end of a direct. Sony, you know, okay, let's rewind. So when Sony pulled out of E3, a lot of people were like, well, they can't do this. E3 is so important, but it's really not. Not in this day and age of social media, where one tweet can be retweeted 1,000 times and reach the target audience. When you can start up a stream on Twitch and get tons of people to watch it. When you can drop a Wired article and suddenly everybody's talking about PlayStation 5. Like, you don't necessarily need E3 like you used to. And of course, you know, since Xbox was going to E3, people were like, well, E3 is important. You know what I'm trying to get at, right? The people who the Sony fans were saying E3 is not important. The Xbox fans were saying E3 is important because Xbox was at E3. Now, if it was switched, the opposite would happen because this is how all things happen. If Sony was going to E3, it'd be important to the Sony fans. If Xbox had pulled out, E3 wouldn't be important. I mean, come on, we know how these games are played, right? I mean, it's not.
Oh,
right?
Are you telling me people flip flop based on
people flip flop? You see it every single day. People flip flop all over the place.
You don't say.
Yeah, they flip flop. They got their flip flops on, and they change tunes. You can damage control for years, and suddenly open up your eyes and be like, "Oh my god, this is horrible." But I still think there's this little thing I asked you before, the chat, or before we started the podcast, rather. Why pick yesterday of all days? Sony could announce this information at any point in time. They could announce it today. They could announce it next week. Anytime leading up before E3. I'm assuming they wanted to get this information out before E3. They wanted to at least. I don't think they wanted Microsoft to have the thunder and then have their own fans wondering what was going on with PlayStation. So they announced it beforehand. And now they have all this good press. And Microsoft can't really say anything until E3, which is still 2 months away, right? So I'm just kind of curious, like, yesterday, was it really targeted at Xbox in any way? Did like the Xbox All Digital Edition was also being announced? Did that play in anything? Or was Sony just like, screw it, we're just gonna dominate the talk today? Like, what do you think?
I think it's totally a tactical decision, but it's not like it's a big deal for it to have been a tactical decision. It was like, so if you've got something to announce or something to do, why wouldn't you do it then to dominate the conversation? It just makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes, I think it just makes sense. I mean, sure, they could have done it next week or sometime in May, but maybe this is best for good for their metrics. Maybe they wanted to let their investors know what they were working on. Maybe they're going to about to write something off on their next, quarterly call or whatever, right? So the investors know what's going on. I mean, who knows? There's probably a whole bunch of different things. I don't really think the Xbox SAT edition really factored much into it or inside Xbox. I think it just happened to be like, hey, we have this announcement. We're going to do it now. Release the article, right? Now, from the specs, since I mentioned before, Zen 2, Navi, ray tracing, the SSD, which sounds like, I mean, his example was Spider-Man fast travel was 15 seconds on the Pro, but with the SSD, it was, less than a second, right? And I had heard months ago, I'm not really sure where, I remember who told me, but it was someone very credible, that Anaconda and Lockhart, which, I think you and Brad Sams have both said will have SSD, right? Basically, a cold boot to the dashboard would be like 2 seconds because on the SSD, right? So it almost seems like they want to get people playing their games more quickly, which is great. But it really does sound, and even judging from some of Cerny's comments, that gamers will be, when asked about the price, I think his like exact quote was something along the lines of like, gamers will be happy with the price on with this advanced next gen PlayStation feature set. It almost sounds like a $500 system.
Yeah, I think so.
Right? Which is interesting because I've kind of felt, man, $400 works so well for them this gen. Right? And when they went to $500 and $600 during the PS3 era, it almost killed the entire brand. So $400 worked out really well. It's like,
but I think the difference is that I don't know, they didn't really demonstrate that power so much with the 360 with the PS3. And then you had devs who were they were working on the Xbox 360 and producing oftentimes better results just because of the ease of developing for it versus the cell processor, or at least the ease of porting from PC from the cell processor. The only devs that really made proper use of the PS3 architecture was Sony themselves, at least in the early days. and also Blu-ray. Blu-ray just didn't exist, and it's like, oh, they've put the Blu-ray player in, and nobody cares about Blu-ray at the time, and that just blew the price up. And also, believe it or not, Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi was baked in as well, which blew up the price. And a lot of people didn't have Wi-Fi back then.
No, they
People
didn't.
just plug their Xbox and PlayStation in direct with an Ethernet cable. So,
but there is a shot. I mean, I told you, like, there is a price history where systems go up to like 600 that just don't fare well. So I think we're looking at a PlayStation 5 at 500. I think Sony will probably even take a loss on it, right? For what's in it, I don't think it's going to be $400. Now the question then becomes, which is great. I want more powerful system. I want most of my games to be targeting 4K 60 or 1440p 60 or whatever. Like, that's what I want for next gen. Solid frame rates everywhere, 60 frames, right? That's this console pleb's wish, right? So I do kind of wish, or not wish, but I'm thinking, like, where does this leave Xbox? Because I've seen things from Xbox that basically say they're really confident that they'll have the most powerful system, right? Like, they're confident that Xbox Anaconda is going to be more powerful than the PlayStation 5. They also have the Lockhart system, which is supposed to be the cheap one. But we've thought, or at least I've thought, that, okay, you're going to have Lockhart at 300, you have PlayStation 5 at 400, you have Anaconda at 500. It just made sense based on history. But if now the PlayStation 5's at 500, can Microsoft afford to price the Anaconda at 600? Or are they going to, like, or do they have to release at the same price at 500 at the PlayStation 5, even with maybe slightly better specs or the same specs? And where does that leave Lockhart? Is Lockhart now 400? Is Lockhart now 300?
Well, that was my thinking behind the tweet, because it potentially complicates the whole thing, right?
It really does. I mean, and plus, like, if so, like, say Sony was prototyping two different systems, one cheaper, one more expensive, and then decided to go with the more expensive one. Microsoft's thinking that maybe Sony wasn't going to do that, so maybe they have the more powerful system. But if it comes out that the clock speeds are the exact same, because they're both made by AMD, and the GPUs are the exact same, but Anaconda's maybe a teraflop more powerful, like say the PS5's 12 teraflops and the Xbox is 13 teraflops, maybe the Xbox has more RAM. Does that significantly, and if they're both the same price, it's like, well, does that power talk just disappear? Because if they're both similar in spec, the only thing that really matters at that point is, since power would be gone, is the games and the price and the content, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm really interested in seeing what Microsoft is going to show, because maybe they thought they were going to have the power crown, like a significant power crown, and now maybe they aren't. Maybe to be so small of an advantage that it doesn't really matter to anybody. And what do you do with Lockhart? If Lockhart was designed to be a $300 entry machine and now the PlayStation's $500, do you really undercut the PlayStation, or do you try to, get some money back and still price it at 400, even though it should be 300? You know what I'm saying?
It's complicated, man.
Well, why don't you find some stuff out for me? Can't you find?
Trying to make me do my job.
I mean, you leak stuff. You dig for stuff.
Oh, man,
why can't you dig for this stuff?
You
can think of all the views you would get for Windows Central. Do I have to like call up your boss, like Zach, and be like, listen,
that's not my boss.
Well, whoever's your boss, whoever, who's your boss?
I'm so
whoever's your boss
right now. Zach will laugh at that. Al Sacco's my boss.
Like, we need. I don't know. It's such an interesting thing, and the Ravenflow says it won't be $600. I agree. I do not see a situation where Sony or Microsoft launch a system at $600. Now, some people might say Anaconda could be $600 because they have Lockhart, which will be cheaper. But even then, I'm not sure that's a good price. Right?
Why?
I mean, I kind of think Microsoft's strategy is fine. You have a premium system for the people that want it, and then a cheaper one for the people that just want to get in the next gen. But there might be something appealing about the PlayStation 5 being like, this is the PlayStation 5 and this is it, and there's no other variants. like this is the one you get, and it's extremely powerful, and here's the price. You know what I mean? So I'm just curious. Maybe did this announcement throw catch Microsoft unawares? How much did they know about all this? How much does this affect the pricing?
I will say that I know that Microsoft knows the PlayStation 5 spec, and they've known for a while.
So you're saying the people at AMD are telling Microsoft what Sony's doing, and they're telling the Sony people what Microsoft is doing, is what you're saying?
I don't know who told who, but I know that both companies know both companies' stuff. Put it that way.
You know what's interesting? I was told that directly by somebody at Xbox, like a couple years ago. He was like, "Yeah, we know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what we're doing. It's no surprise to anybody." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay, fair enough."
Well, there you go. There you go.
Fair enough. But you know what? That's true to a certain extent. But Microsoft, from all accounts, was shocked when Sony increased the amount of RAM in the PlayStation 4 from, what was it, 4 to 8, and the different type. Remember, because the Xbox One had the SRAM, and I'm not sure if they had like 8 or 6 or something, but the PlayStation 4 was rumored to have like 4 gigabytes of it, and then suddenly at the announcement it was 8 gigabytes of like DDR4 or 5, I forget. And people were like, "What?" And I remember hearing that, like, that really took Microsoft by surprise.
Yeah, I mean, there's still little tactics they could do to, pull a fast one on each other.
Pull a fast one.
Pull a fast one, baby.
So, are you going to get the PlayStation 5 when it comes out next year?
Nope.
No.
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 There is literally
Last of Us 2, baby.
There is. First of all, Last of Us 2 is going to be a cross-gen game, no doubt about it.
True, probably.
And second of all, there's sadly not a universe where PlayStation could do something to make me switch to a different launch console.
Well, I mean, I'm going to get both.
At launch?
Yeah, why not?
Well, some of us aren't YouTube millionaires, right?
I'm not a YouTube millionaire. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Of course, you're YouTube millionaire.
You're a Windows.
You out here with your Lamborghini.
You're going out to business meetings in Florida and stuff. You're a Windows Central millionaire.
Yeah, so I'm still a pauper, man. I still like I don't know. I have to eat tinned beans for dinner, just out of a tin, cold. Hard life being a journalist. But the reason is there's no way that PlayStation 5 could get me to switch. And no, I'm not going to buy both at launch because I barely have time to play all 3 systems right now. And I mean, first of all, there's 2 reasons. The first reason is my job is to cover Xbox. So obviously I'm going to get the Xbox because it's part of my job. Second of all, even if it wasn't part of Xbox, I'd still get the Xbox first because Microsoft's locked me in with digital. They have locked me into their ecosystem, and I'm sure that's going to be the case for a lot of PlayStation people who have been locked in by buying digital this gen. Like this generational leap is a little bit different to the previous ones, isn't it? Because people are locked in digitally now, whereas they weren't to the same degree last gen. Don't you think?
I mean, sure, that adds some aspect to it for sure. But I mean, like, I'm not planning on, like, I'm getting the PlayStation 5 day one and the Xbox Anaconda day one.
But this is what I'm not about.
Planning.
You're a millionaire.
I'm not a millionaire. I'm not. Like,
okay, but
YouTube hates me.
Most people won't get both on day one. I don't.
No, I understand that they won't, but I'm looking at it like the Xbox will obviously be my primary platform where I'll play everything. I don't think anybody's surprised by that, right? But I just need those PlayStation exclusives, my dude. You know what I mean?
I need them too. Like I haven't finished The Last of Us yet. I'm gonna complete it this weekend, I think. But I'm gonna play that on my regular PlayStation, my PS4 Pro, and I barely got any use of it out of it yet. Anyway, so I might as well just stick with it until like the PlayStation 5 comes down in price, or there is like such a great PlayStation 5 exclusive that absolutely requires me to get, the upgraded console. And this is another thing, Rand. Do you remember me saying I was going to get an OLED?
Yes, I remember that.
I don't have
You
room.
should.
I don't have room.
I mean,
I've rearranged all of my furniture. I physically cannot fit a 55-inch TV into my room.
Well, I mean, this is okay. You know, take a look at this next year again. What I'm saying, is that let's be honest here, Jess. Can we be honest with ourselves here for a minute? You're not going to buy the next gen Xbox because Microsoft will send you one for free with a whole bunch of games to go along with it to review it, right?
Well,
well,
probably, yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Yes. If you're still working at Windows Central, you know, a year from now, yeah, they'll send you an Xbox Anaconda for free, and you'll review it like you did the X.
Yeah,
so
sure. But
there's $1,000 saved right there.
I would buy that one anyway because I bought every other console that one. And I do have multiple Xboxes.
No, then all you gotta do is buy PlayStation 5. I'm gonna have to buy both because Xbox ain't gonna give me a free console. Yeah, I mean, they send me review codes, but I don't think I'm big enough or important enough to get a free console from them. You know, so I'll buy both, and I have no issue buying both.
Hang on, are you saying that I'm big and important?
I'm saying Windows Central is big and important.
Oh wow, okay.
I mean, wouldn't you agree?
See how it is, Rand.
Is just if you started your own blog tomorrow, would you get a free Xbox from Microsoft next year?
I don't know.
You should try.
Actually, I think ICXM did get a free Xbox.
Maybe they would, but either way,
ICXM get a free Xbox.
The last question I do have about the PlayStation 5, you know, the price is. It's always interesting discussing to talk about price because then it affects like what Xbox is doing and all that different stuff. Is the release date? Ooh. I have this strange feeling that the PlayStation 5 might be coming out early next year, like March of 2020, with Xbox launching at the end. Do you think there's anything to that, or do you think?
I think that's definitely possible. Actually.
So you think it's? I mean, yeah, it's probably possible. I mean, I've talked to a couple people, and they firmly believe that the PlayStation 5 is, you know, launching holiday 2020 like PlayStation systems always do. But something feels different about this. I don't know. Like I get this sense that PlayStation 5 will come out in March. Like they saw what the Switch did. They can be the first system to come out. They can convert all their PlayStation fans to PlayStation 5 fans. You could have cross-gen launches with Ghost of Tsushima and potentially like Last of Us 2, even though Neil Druckmann posted on Twitter yesterday that if the final scene from Last of Us 2's finished filming, I don't know if that means like the entire game's finished or they just, you know what I mean?
They got to edit all that stuff.
Well, I mean, and I'm sure that, you know, they're still hiring people and maybe they're still building levels. I don't really know what that means. So March would be kind of cool. And that would be a boon in the cap for PlayStation because they can basically convert all their PlayStation fans. You have all the games coming out then, and then Xbox would be, you know, coming up at the end of the year, potentially not that more powerful than the PlayStation at the same price, and you kind of take some of the wins out of the sales of Xbox at that point. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out more. It's just weird to see that them just casually drop the stuff, and then you think, well, man, is it possible they launched this system at the beginning of next year rather than the holiday? But I guess it's also possible they launched it at the holiday. Maybe they don't even talk about PlayStation 5 again until PSX, right? Mm-hmm. And then they go to E3 and they do the whole, you know, dog and pony show, and then it comes out at the end of the year. Sam Tolbert in chat says the final scene of Uncharted 4 was shot in April 2015. Don't read into that. So there you go. So hopefully OBJ is here still reading this. OBJ, you ain't getting Last of Us this year, buddy. I know you want that game. I know a lot of the Sony guys do. Hell, I do. I love Last of Us. It's one of the best games I've ever played. But Sam Tolbert's here with the bucket of cold water to dump on you guys. He's basically
better than Last of Us.
Huh?
You know what's better than Last of Us?
Don't even say it.
Pokemon.
Pokemon. So Uncharted 4 came out. When did Uncharted 4 came out? 2016? Was it early 2016? I want to say it was like March or May of 2016. So if that thing still applies, you'll be playing Last of Us this time next year. But it's funny. Would you wait for it to be 8K on the PlayStation 5 and a remaster of some sort, or do you need to play it right away on your PlayStation 4 Pro?
I play on my PlayStation 4 Pro, man. I mean,
I wouldn't wait. I wouldn't wait. I would play Last of Us 2 the second it dropped. I wouldn't care. I would need to play that game right away.
It's like people always say stuff like this. They always say, "Oh, what do I need 4K for? I've got the great 1080p TV right here." And it's like, yeah, well, once you've experienced 4K, it's hard to go back. And it'd be like that with 8K, right? It'd be like, oh, you know, it's going to be. You can't imagine what it's going to look like because no one's seen it. It's going to be super sharp, and if people didn't upgrade, if tech didn't move forward, we wouldn't have Samsung's amazing folding phone, which is already broken apparently. But tech moves forward all the time. That's so bad. But tech moves forward, and eventually everyone's going to want 8K because 4K will be completely old hat, So, but I don't think I can get 8K until I move into an apartment. Because right now I just live in my girlfriend's bedroom, and we don't physically have room for an 8K TV.
Understandable.
We don't have room for a 4K OLED because they start at 55 inches, right?
As I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, when you see this stuff, when you see these games on this OLED, oh my god! When you see it, like I know, like Sea of Thieves is kind of a joke, right? OBJ would be like, OBJ would say what OBJ would say, be like, get that trash out of here, right? But my god, does that game look so freaking pretty in 4K HDR? Like it looks so good, but then you realize, man, there ain't nothing to do in this game until I guess maybe the new update in 12 days or 13 days or whatever. Pixelbit says that ain't gonna be 4K, Rand. Stop playing. I mean, I know it's not gonna be in 4K. I'm not the one saying it's gonna be. Sony was the one saying, it's 8K ready. Maybe that's the marketing push for next gen. Maybe everything's gonna be like, and it's 8K ready to do your 8K videos on Netflix and all that other stuff, which there ain't going to be any 8K content because there's barely any 8K TVs, right? But yeah,
there's barely any 4K content. I mean, in Britain, you're lucky if you can get a TV channel in 1080p right now on TV.
Yeah, I mean, the movies I use my OLED to watch movies and play video games. I don't really watch regular TV on there. Pixelbit says 85-inch 8K TV is $15,000. Yeah, a little bit out of my price range.
They just announced the Surface Studio 2, and not Surface Studio 2, the Surface Hub 2. I think that's about 15 grand if I remember right.
Yeah. So it was a pretty interesting week. Xbox Sad Edition announced, Xbox Games Ultimate, which they also announced at E3, which I think I'm going to do a video on tomorrow because I'm in the Insider program and apparently it's you can sign up for it there, Jez, and apparently there's quite a huge deal going on. So this is what someone told me, is that for every month of Gold and Game Pass you have, they'll give you an equivalent month of Ultimate.
Yep.
So if you have 12 months of Gold and you have 12 months of Game Pass, they'll give you 24 months of Ultimate.
Woo!
And you can stack it up to 36 months. And I have, because right now my Gold runs out in 2020, May of 2020, and my Game Pass runs out in January of 21 or January of 2020 or 20, yeah. So I could basically go there and get, 30 months of Game Pass Ultimate.
Damn.
So
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that right now.
If I think you have to be an insider, but if that's how they're going to position it, when it becomes available to anybody, that's a pretty sweet deal. If that's the case, stock up on your codes because basically 1 month of Gold is 1 month of Game Pass Ultimate at that point.
I just dropped 24,000 Microsoft reward points from using Bing on 12 months of Xbox Live Gold for free.
Dark Time says Game Pass is not for you, Rand. I mean, it's not, but I still subscribe to it. I mean, I did get a free year. But what I'm saying basically is like I obviously use Gold to play multiplayer and party chat. So if there's a way I can, because it's not just Gold, you're extending both. So if you have a year of live, if you have 12 months of live, that becomes 12 months of Game Pass Ultimate. But then if you have 6 months of Game Pass, well, now those add together, and now you have 18 months of Ultimate. But I'm not sure, like, once you make that change, can you add, like, more Xbox Live Gold months or more Game Pass months? I'm not really sure how that stuff works, but it's in the insider thing. And you best believe I want to stack up to 36, what is that, 3 years without basically paying for anything? I mean, I already have a year of Game Pass and a year of Gold left, so that's 2 years of Game Pass Ultimate, apparently. So it's pretty cool. I'll have to check that out, make a video, see how it all works out. But yeah, so you want to take some questions before we get out here, Jazz?
Hell yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions, make sure you drop them in chat. If you enjoyed the show before you leave, so I think we had about 400, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, because that helps out tremendously. I'll be trying to make videos the rest of the week. A lot of stuff to talk about. So let us know. And here we go. Face, always with the first question. He's always on target. He says, would it surprise you if Sony did a big announcement on their state of play during E3 week? Actually, yeah, that would surprise me. They already said that they don't plan on doing anything during E3 week. So I would be surprised if they did. Yeah, that's basically the answer to your question. I would be surprised if they did a state of play. I think they'll wait. I think maybe you could look for a state of play after E3 sometime, or maybe even right before it. I don't know. But I don't think they'll do one during the E3 week. What do you think, Jazz?
Yeah, sorry, what was the question?
If Sony would do a state of play live stream during E3 week.
Interesting. I would be surprised if they did that. I don't know.
That was my
usually do that in the fall.
That was that was basically my answer. Emperor Zergi wants to know, do you think Last of Us 2 can be 60 frames, or will they leave it at 30 for the PlayStation 5? Well, I think it'll be 30 frames for the PlayStation 4 Pro, 100%. For the 5, though, if you're going to PlayStation 5, I would expect that to be 60 frames. I think. And I think that's what's going to be, is like, hey, Ghost of Tsushima, 30 frames on the PS4, 4K 60 on the PS5. And that stuff will also go for, Xbox games as well. I think you're gonna see a lot of games be 60 frames next gen, and potentially hit 4K. So that's gonna be really cool. Like I love my frame rates, and I always choose performance mode in my games when the option is there. And it'd be nice not to even really need to choose that. Just be like, yep, 4K 60, good to go. Everything's rock solid. Game looks great. Game runs great, right? Omega Red says he wants full focus on 4K 60 frames, no ray tracing, no 8K gimmicks.
Amen. Ray tracing is not a gimmick.
So says Jez. Ray tracing is not a gimmick.
Man, ray tracing completely changes the way a game presents. Like, if you think ray tracing is a gimmick, you don't understand what it is. And I would strongly advise you educate yourself.
Extreme 2 Swagger says, can you watch Mark Cerny's interview that he had with Wired? I don't think it was a video interview. I'm pretty sure it was just a regular article, a regular interview. No video. Yeah, so it doesn't seem like we got much questions, so looks like we're gonna end it here. Jez, let people know where they can find you and what you got going on.
Talk to me on Twitter at any time at JZCORDEN, Jez Corden on Twitter. I think Rand usually puts the link in the description.
Links to Jez's Twitter is in the description of the podcast, as always.
Yeah. Other than that, you can find my content on Windows Central. Not that great. So.
Yep. And DJ Singh, he says, Rand, you're most genuine people I know in gaming, and while others on YouTube people do drama and make 10 vids a day with clickbait titles, #respect. One day I'm going to buy you dinner or lunch. Thanks, guy. Thanks, DJ. I really appreciate that.
Why don't I get dinner?
Yeah, Jez is very genuine too. Like, I love gaming. I like Xbox. Everybody knows that. I don't need to put down PlayStation, to make Xbox sounds good. I don't need to do a 180 and start complaining about things because, I was complaining about things that are getting fixed 2 years ago when other people were sitting there damage controlling and lying their faces off. I was being like, you know what? We need more games on Xbox and we need better games. And you know what? Xbox fans, they attacked me. Remember when I talked crap about Crackdown 3?
Yes.
And I got basically thrown out of the community, quote unquote. The thing about Xbox fans is if you talk about Xbox, you're good. The minute you stop talking about Xbox positively, they don't like you anymore. So it's
I just try to. I'm the same. Like I try to speak the truth, or how I feel. There's no point lying about how you feel because you eventually you end up flip flopping and you get caught out.
Yeah, you get flip flopping, and then you get videos made of you basically saying the opposite of what you said, 2 years ago, and it comes off as not genuine. But then again, I'm not an act. I'm not a persona, right? I know a lot of YouTube is filled with personas, right? I'm just Randall Thor 19. I'm just Matt, right? I'm just one dude. This isn't an act.
I keep forgetting your name.
Me. Other people.
Your name is Rand.
Right. I mean, other people, they put on acts, they put on personas, they do heel turns, they do all this other nonsense. I'm just me. I don't know what else to say. Like, I just find it funny. People will, are suddenly speaking out now when people were speaking out like myself 2 years ago. And it's kind of just hysterical to me. But either way, I'll continue to keep it real. And OBJ says, Rand, when do you think Gears 5 releases? I think it releases in September. I think that's a good month, right, Jez? October, September. I'm going to say September.
I think, yeah, sounds right.
September sounds good. Maybe a little bit after Borderlands. Maybe in the spot that Forza comes out in every year, like end of September. Considering Forza's not coming out this year, maybe it'll come out, around that time. But yeah. If you enjoyed the show, hit the like button, hit the sub button. Everybody watching on Google Play and iTunes, we appreciate you. Hope everybody enjoys the show, and we will see you back next week. Later, guys.
Take care, everybody.